Welcome back to The Donkey,
And the bee.
where men are jackasses,
And women are biatches.
where we work together to build an extraordinary life.
Tune in to up your game in your marriage, entrepreneurship, and finances. Welcome back to another episode of The Donkey and the Bee with your host, Brett and Laura Chotkevys. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you are an avid listener, welcome back.
All right. Well, we got the jackass and the biatch here talking marriage, finance, and entrepreneurship. And today, I want to talk to you about the beginning of our story when we made a commitment about 10 years ago to have wealth and financial freedom. We made some changes, right? We cut some things out of our life. And so really, I want to unpack that. What are the things, if you're going to make this decision to be wealthy, if you're going to make the decision for financial freedom, what do you have to give up? What are the things you have to cut from your life?
I think it's one of those things that people don't necessarily want to hear, or they don't want to talk about, or they don't want to implement and take action toward it, because I think it's one of those things where it was really difficult for us in the beginning because you're used to this lifestyle or these habits that you do daily. And then all of a sudden you have to just like cut some things out of your life and change some certain habits that you have. And it's difficult. It's not easy. It's something that's very uncomfortable. And so, and it's a change. And a lot of people don't like being uncomfortable and they don't like change and they want to stay in their habits. And so I think thinking or having a future focused mindset toward this, I think is really kind of what got us through because it sucked in the beginning. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it really wasn't fun, the things that we had to change. But now looking back on all the changes that we did make back then, 1,000% worth it.
Yeah. So 5 things I want to talk about today. The first thing that we gave up, I think was the hardest for me personally. And I think it delayed my journey. It was simmering in the back burner for years to finally make this commitment to burning the boats, going into entrepreneurship. So the first thing that we gave up was family expectations. I grew up in this very strong family expectation that you go to college, you get a good job, you get a pension, you get a retirement, you work the system, you have your kids, you buy your house, and life will be great. That's what you do. And that was very much drilled and ingrained in me growing up. And no one ever said anything about entrepreneurship, financial freedom, buying houses, cash flow. That was actually kind of discouraged. It was just about go to college, go to a great college, get the degree, find some good job, climb corporate ladder, get some kind of retirement stuff. And there was a lot of pressure on me to go that way. And that was just not for me, right? We started going down that rabbit hole and we hated our lives and we had to make some kind of change. But I was sitting in that position of pain for much longer than I needed to because of this one thing. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I felt this family pressure and expectation, but also a social pressure and expectation that I was just scared to go this other path.
I think I felt that as well. I kind of grew up in that same type of environment. I think that our generation was very pushed toward going to college and having to have that education in order to get a solid job after. And I think the pressure for me personally was there because my parents paid half of my college. And so I felt like, well, if they're paying, a good amount of this for me, like I feel like I need to make sure that I complete it and make sure that I'm, actively looking toward a certain career after I get out. And so I think it was that financial pressure because they had a burden of the finances to put forth for this schooling. And so I think I just felt bad if I didn't go, and I felt bad if I didn't complete it because they had sacrificed so much to get me there financially to go to college. And so for me, I think that was where the real pressure was that because I knew that that was a lot for my parents to do that. I'm super grateful they did, but I think it was that pressure for me. But I think there was this mindset in our generation of you can't get a good job unless you go to college. Where we're in 2024 now. I mean, you can not go to college and you can start your own business, or you can just come out of high school and get hired on anywhere. You don't necessarily need a college education unless you're going for a specific trade of doctor or whatever it may be. So I definitely felt that same pressure as well. So you mentioned the hardest one for you was your family expectations. The next one we're going to talk about is is friends. And I think this one was the hardest for me because I'm a very social person. I like building relationships with people. And so relationships are very important to me. So having to give up or outgrow friends was very hard because I didn't realize how lonely entrepreneurship was until we started getting into this game. There's a lot of individuals in your life that don't really understand where you're coming from, and they don't understand why you're working so much or why you're pushing so hard towards something. And a lot of times they discourage you from your dreams because they kind of want to bring you back down to where they are. And I'm not saying this in like a haughty, like, oh, we're better than anybody else. That's not where we're coming from at all. We just had a specific goal and vision toward where we wanted to go in our life. And we were just striving toward that. And a lot of times we had to move past going out with friends, spending a lot of money going on trips or going to bachelorette or bachelor parties or, different circumstances where every weekend we're going out and we're drinking and we're spending money. Like it was weekends were expensive in our early 20s. And so when we finally made that choice to really strive toward financial freedom, we realized that we needed to cut back on our expenses, and going out with friends was one of them. And when you do that, you are going to get a lot of hate and a lot of questions toward your friends because they're like, what the heck? Like, what, you don't want to have fun anymore? Oh, you don't want to go out with us? Oh, you're too good for us? It's these comments that you'll hear. And I'm just forewarning you, they're going to happen. Your friends are going to say it. But I think this is part of the process of becoming financial free is cutting back your expenses and maybe cutting off individuals that, not cut off. I don't want to say cut off, but maybe
you grow apart.
Grow apart. That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't know it now, but like once you start growing, whether it's at anything, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's personal development, and especially at least for me personally, right? Like in our early 20s, we drank stupidly and very irresponsibly. And we were just in the restaurant industry and I was a sommelier and we were just around alcohol and we didn't really have kids yet. So that whole transition time, there was a big growth period. We grew, really, really rapidly. And there was just a lot of natural distance and separation between us, who we were becoming, and our friend group that we were currently hanging out with, high school people and college people and the restaurant people. Love them all, incredible people, but we now made a choice to pursue something different in our lives. And then there was this natural, just like, I don't really see eye to eye on this stuff anymore, right? Like, it just kind of was a distance creep, where it just like you just felt more and more like, yeah, I don't really think we should be doing that with you guys. Like, that's not really where our priorities are anymore. We're heading this direction. You're kind of staying over here. And as you continue to grow, it is totally okay to recognize that there is a separation here. And then you don't say like, hey, we're not friends anymore, right? Like that doesn't happen. You just kind of stop hanging out, and it's just kind of a natural baby step. But you find new friends, you find new people that are on the same growth path as you. And it may be in different categories of life. It may be in your faith, it may be in your fitness, it may be in your finances. But you find new people that are growing towards those things, and you start doing that journey side by side with them. So the third thing that we gave up was our free time. And back in that stage of life, we had so much free time.
So much.
Oh my gosh. Like no kids. I think Brooklyn was just born and we were going out all the time and so much free time. Man, when we made this commitment, when we opened our first business, free time went out the window. You burn the boats. You're not reliant on a paycheck anymore, which means that we had to kill and eat. Like every dollar that came in, we had to make sales on. We had to deliver a product. We had to do all of these things. And we knew nothing on it, right? We knew nothing about marketing, nothing about sales, nothing about the website, nothing about finances and bookkeeping. And so you are literally just so overwhelmed in the beginning. And we went from working, we were probably working 20, 30 hours a week, right? We're just coasting, making good money, just coasting through. And then it was like, we're working 60, 80 plus hours a week. It went from I mean, literally working almost all day long into the evenings through dinner before bed, working weekends. It was years of that. And not that it's really changed much now anyways, honestly. I still work all day long, but I really love what we do. But on the front side, it was just out of necessity. Now it's because I love what we do. But on the front side, there was a lot of things that I really hated doing, but I had to do it anyways. And you have to do all these things that it's not just like, oh, I can do this one thing. Like when you have a job, I'm just going to do this one thing, and IT has that over there covered, right? And finance has this over here. You got to figure out all that crap. And then you start talking about like paying taxes and all the stuff to the IRS. And it's like, I don't know these laws. Like I'm getting penalized because I'd missed the payment date and all these kind of things. And it's just like, it is overwhelming. But you know what? That's just part of the process, because it for sure gets easier and easier and easier. I mean, year after year, I figure out so much more of this stuff, and then your skill sets compound. So time was something that I didn't anticipate how much time it would take.
I think it kind of correlates with the other two that we've already talked about. And to be honest, the next two we're going to talk about, when you aren't going out on the weekends, you have more time.
Right.
When you're not going on vacations or bachelorette parties or bachelor parties or girls' weekend, guys' weekends, you have more time. So I think it was utilizing our time in a way that's directed toward our goals. And I think that was really the switch that we had to make in our mind. And so I feel like this time one was really kind of correlated with our friends and kind of with family and with all the next two topics we're going to talk about. They all kind of intertwine together. And it's one of those things where in the beginning, you may not like it. You may think it sucks, and I want to go have fun. And I deserve this. That's what everyone says. Yeah. I deserve this. I'm like, well, no, you deserve financial freedom, and so does your kids. Like, you got to work your butt off to get there. And so it's not like it's this overnight success where you're a YouTuber and you have 2 million hits and then you make a ton of money. Like, yes, that may happen to 1 out of 14 million people or something, but for the rest of us, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication. So the next thing, this is the fourth thing, is our comforts. We really took a step back from our spending. We really just got uncomfortable. I think that's really what it comes down to. We sold our house that we were living in, took that equity that we had, and we started a business. And it was kind of risky for us, and it was scary. It was a scary process for us. But we sold that house, took the equity, we started a business, and then we rented another house. So we kind of took that comfort of owning and then went to kind of an uncomfortableness of renting. And we really just pulled back on all of our spending. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't, literally just even go to the bar on the weekends. We didn't do any of that. We stayed home, and we were kind of homebodies. And again, we were working a lot, kind of putting our heads down and just driving toward the goal. And so giving up those comforts was a pivotal, I think, choice for us in order to get to where we are today.
So it's an interesting time because we lived a very comfortable lifestyle. After college, we bought our first house. We were both waiting tables and then working second jobs and not honestly working very much and having a lot of fun going out and everything, and really, really have fond memories of that season of life. Had everything we need, and we were, just waiting tables. From there, you become like, oh, I'm this entrepreneur now. I'm a house flipper, right? We started a house flipping company, and we actually, after year 1, started doing pretty well. But still, we're living a lifestyle that was probably 2 steps down from the lifestyle we were living while we were waiting tables. And I think that's just the sacrifice it is. It is now you make the shift in your mind and you become future focused. Where when we were waiting tables, everything was about the now. We were literally making all the money and spending all the money every single month. It was back to zero. Where, we had a good amount of equity in this house, and then we're like, all right, let's invest in ourselves. Let's invest in our education. Let's start this company and really put everything on the line. And then lived like we were broke. And when we started making more money, still lived like we were broke. For years, we sold in 2014. Was it like 6 years or more that we were renting? Mm-hmm. Before we finally bought another house. Mm-hmm. And okay, don't get me wrong, we were buying lots of houses. We bought 150, 200 houses or something like that. They were just all rental properties, right? And it was just being uncomfortable. We were renting in properties that I mean, like we didn't repaint, the floors were ugly and outdated, and it was like, ew, like we were fixing and flipping like so many houses, making them gorgeous, and we lived in this like, oh God, this house sucks kind of thing, right? And it was just really driving us nuts. But it was all about that short-term sacrifice for the long-term gain. Mm-hmm. So the fifth thing that we gave up was screen time and TV. We were, man, you know what? Going through college and post-college, I used to think to myself, a great day is a day where I get to watch 2 movies. And honestly, before we had kids and all that kind of stuff, I would watch so much TV and so much movies, and we go through Netflix and you hit like 24. I do 24 in like 36 hours, right? You're like, you don't even sleep. You just watch the whole series. And I think a lot of people are in that space. And that was one of the things that we gave up right away. Not only were we not spending money, not going out with friends, we were also therefore homebodies, but not Netflixing it, right? Not watching tons of TV. It was work, and then it became just growth things. So it was the gym. Prior to this season of our life, with the financial commitment we made, we were not active physically, right? Like we were not in bad shape, but we were not like pushing ourselves physically at the gym and things. So along with that financial commitment came these other commitments towards growth of us hitting the gym, of us reading books. I was never really much of a reader until then. And then all of a sudden I became obsessed with learning and books and courses and masterminds and, mentoring, all those kind of things. We took the TV, we threw it out, not literally, but we threw it off the schedule. And then everything now just became growth oriented.
I definitely had a mind shift change toward TV that was definitely positive toward my growth personally. I think a lot of people think, oh, I just need something to zone out. I've had a stressful day. I just need to zone out. I don't see it that way. I literally almost, when I sit down in front of a TV to watch something, and don't get me wrong, TV is not bad. I mean, we watch movies every now and again. We watch sports. Those are the 2 things we watch. But we probably watch it like an hour a week, if that, honestly. But I had this different mind shift that watching TV, it's like sucking my brain out. Like I literally see like it like sucking out my brain. And I think because I have that, I don't want to watch it. Because when I think of what I could fill my time with instead, like what Brett was saying with books and everything else, I feel like it's opening my brain and it's pouring in. And so I want to be poured into so that I can pour into others. And so and this is the whole reason why we're doing this podcast, like because we have gone through so much in our lives and we've learned so much, like we want to be able to give back to the listeners, to you guys. And so that's our hope, at least. So I think because we stopped watching TV, it gave us more time for self-development. And that is such a pivotal thing when you are an entrepreneur and when you are learning all sorts of new things, to really deep dive into certain aspects of different things that you want to learn, like taxes, for instance, right? Like that's a huge thing that we still don't even know everything about. It's a huge topic to learn. Even real estate, we dove into real estate. We wanted to read more real estate books. We still don't know everything about real estate. I don't think we will ever know everything about real estate, and that's okay. We're forever students. We're forever learners, and I think that's the good aspect to have toward this is you're never going to know everything, but that's okay. Like you're still striving toward learning whatever it is you want to learn about, right? Real estate, taxes, maybe self-development. But just continuing to feed into yourself and having that outlook like, hey, I'm feeding in myself so that I can not only help myself, my family, and my kids, but I can help others as well.
So financial freedom definitely has a cost. And here are the things that it cost us, right? A lot of these comforts, a lot of our time, even our friends and other expectations. So what type of cost do you have if you say to yourself, you know what, I want to hit financial freedom. I want to be wealthy. I want to have these big goals. It's going to cost you, right? It's easier to start with, let me cut things out of my day, out of my schedule before I try and fit things in. Because honestly, if you say, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, your schedule is already full. It doesn't fit. So cut some stuff out and then say, okay, now I'm going to do these 6 things, right? Now I'm going to take this massive action. But if you don't cut things, if you're not willing to pay the price, then you're going to fizzle out.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Donkey and the Bee. We will see you on the next one.